What's going on, everybody? It is time for the Mind Shift Monday. I am so glad that you're in the space, in the place. Millie Dollar, good to see you on Instagram. Les Spa Kigali, good to see you on Instagram. Othniel Stevens Sr., so glad that you're here. Dawn Audia, One Love CPR, so glad that you're here. Oh yeah, we're ready to do this thing. I'm so glad that you all are here this morning. Dr. Lorenda Jones, hey there, so glad that you are here this morning. Do me a favor, tell me, if you can think about this, who is one person, past or present, who's had a major impact on your life, maybe even without you realizing it? Come on, tell me what you got. Tell me what you got. Tell me who's in your space, who's in your place. Tell me who your sculptor is this morning. So today we're pulling back the circle on the people who built your mindset, your habits, and often your future, even without you realizing that. Hey everybody, welcome to the show. So glad that you're here. If you want to know when we're live, text live to 240-557-8679. Text live to 240-557-8679. Oh yeah, we've got also a challenge coming up, the Amplify Your Voice with Video Challenge coming up. I'll tell you a little bit more about it after the intro. Y'all ready? Let's get into it. Come on, let's do it. Got to get a little vibe going on in the morning time. Let's go. Come on. Hey, y'all, listen, I am so glad that you are here this morning with me. Yeah, so as I was mentioning before the break, we have something called the Amplify Your Voice with Video 3-day challenge coming up August 3rd through 5th. So if you want to get involved in that, my goodness, we don't have all the stuff on the screen. But if you want to get involved with that, go to amplifyvoiceandvideo.com. That's amplifyvoiceandvideo.com. If you are a business owner, real estate professional, or simply somebody who knows that they need to get their message out there, you know that you've got a world to transform and people's lives to change simply by sharing your story, your message, and you want to learn how to do that more effectively and more efficiently and more confidently on video. Make sure that you join us for this challenge. It's going to be awesome and amazing. I guarantee it. Yeah. August 3rd through 5th, go to amplifyvoiceandvideo.com. Let me see if I can make sure I have that running on the bottom of the screen at some point during the show. But yeah, let's jump on in. So I'm looking at the chat here and I'm seeing some amazing things here. Millie Dollar says, my mother, she is the GOAT as far as people who influence you or people who have inspired you. All right. Othniel says, my Uncle Owen. I love it. All right. Danny Lewis, what's going on, brother? Good morning to you. Dr. Lorenda Jones says, a minister has inspired you. Dean, how you doing? Good morning. So glad that you all are here this morning to hang out with us on the Mind Shift Monday. So here's how I want to start. You choose your future every time, and you choose who gets your time. Let me actually say that a little bit differently. I probably said it messed up. You choose your future every time. You choose who gets your time. How about that? How about that? I'll say that one more time so you can get it. You choose your future every time. You choose who gets your time. Those are lessons that I want my kids to learn. I share with them all the time. I'll talk about my kids in just a little bit. But we hear so many individual stories of success. We hear so many different stories where somebody came up from nothing, from scratch. They did it by themselves. They were self-made man, and they pulled themselves up by their bootstraps. We've heard so many of those stories, right? You've heard the story of Sylvester Stallone, who was a struggling actor, who was struggling and in some cases homeless and did some crazy stuff. I won't even talk about what he did. But then he one day had this big break. He wrote the script for Rocky and he was trying to pitch it and share it with different studios or different actors or different directors. And they all decided that they did not want to take it on. And Sylvester Stallone finally took it into his own hands and refused when they said, hey, we want somebody else to act the lead role. He said, nope, that's got to be me. And he did that. And he wrote Rocky and they produced sequels and it became a massive hit. Yes, we hear the individual stories of Sylvester Stallone. We hear the individual stories of Bill Gates. Maybe we might hear a little bit about his partner. Maybe we might hear about Steve Ballmer or the other guys that were there. But we hear about Bill Gates as the success story of Microsoft. We hear about the success story of Steve Jobs with Apple. All right. We hear about these success stories of individuals. But what about the people who influenced or were a part of the story along the way? Yeah. CM Blackman is saying no one is self-made. He had assistants. He just took charge. But is it about taking charge? Is it simply about taking charge? Hey, y'all, we're going to get into the show. We're jumping into the show right now, but let me take a break really quickly and just say, hey, make sure that you share the show with somebody, like the show. Ooh, there we go. Bam. All right, cool. And subscribe. Subscribe to the show. Make sure that you get the notifications when we go live. All right. So we quite often hear and subscribe to the stories of individual success. And as a matter of fact, as much as we know that people have help, we are often fed the story of making it by yourself. If you can think it, you can do it. Right? If you can make it here, you can make it anywhere. It's up to you. New York, right? If all of the things, a lot of the things that we are fed, all of the messages that we are fed, a lot of the messages that we are fed are about, okay, yep, you can do this. And you can. But there's some other pieces of this. I was watching something the other day and Steve Harvey had a clip on his channel where it was a birthday show. And as he was on the birthday show, the producers placed a person on screen and the person said, hey, Steve, how you doing? Happy birthday. And as soon as the person came on, Steve Harvey started to break down in tears. And the man said, hey, I've got your girlfriend here. And Steve Harvey said, oh my gosh, is Becky there with you? So what happened was there was this couple who owned a furniture store. And Steve Harvey was about 26 years old. And according to the story that he tells, just getting his life together, had no idea what he was doing. Things were messy and it was a crazy time in his space. But this couple owned a furniture store and Steve had decided that he was going to put together this carpet cleaning company. The couple was the only couple or the first couple to give him, or first company to give him a contract with his little carpet cleaning company. And by the carpet cleaning company, it wasn't like he was running around with a bunch of other people. It's him. I come in and let me see if I can shampoo your carpets by myself on my own. So Steve Harvey is cleaning the carpets of this couple. Then he decided that he wanted to pursue comedy. And this couple also had a travel agency. So he's going around the place, and how he makes it is this couple allows him, according to his story, to run up an $11,000 bill pursuing his comedy. My goodness. Somewhere along the way, he lost touch with them and the producers found him. But what was clear to me was that he told this story enough. He gave homage to these people enough that his producers were able to go find these people for him. So the Steve Harvey that we know was influenced, supported, foundationalized, and brought up by a couple back in Cleveland who helped him get a leg up. So many times we've got people in our spaces that we run into or that come into our space and help us, and we don't even recognize the magnitude of how they help. I'll tell you about me. When I was younger, when I was a kid, elementary and maybe high school, if you've been around me for any period of time, you've heard me tell the story of that I'm a PK, pastor's kid. Now, you might be fooled by the mega churches and some of the other prosperity preachers and preachers that you see asking for millions of dollars and telling people that God told him that they should buy him a plane. That's another story. But my father, as a preacher, didn't make a whole lot of money. And so because he didn't make a whole lot of money, there were some challenges in the stores that we could shop at. My mom, bless her heart, she's still alive, love you, Mom, did the best that she could with buying us clothing. And so some of the clothing that we got wasn't always the most stylistic outfit that we could get. And so there were outfits that I wore, and I woke up and I wore what I had. But my friends had clothing that had labels on it. Not just labels, the styles that they wore were a little bit more modern than what I was wearing. So I've got an aunt who is a little bit younger than my mom, and she was just in the last years finishing up college, a little bit older and working. So I went up to visit my aunt in the state of Massachusetts. I was living in New York at the time, but I went up to Massachusetts to visit my aunt. And my aunt said, "Come here." And she took me to a store, TJ Maxx, I think it was. And we went to the store, and when we went into the store, she bought some clothing. And when I say she bought clothing, she didn't just buy a shirt and a pair of pants or a pair of jeans. She bought an entire wardrobe, quite a few different outfits. So I came back to school, high school at the time, and I was wearing these clothes. Now, listen, let me tell y'all. Let me tell y'all, if you didn't think that the way the clothing that you wore can shape the way that you show up, listen, I tell you that when I got back to school and I started wearing the outfit, I walked into school differently. I showed up differently. I spoke differently. I stood differently. My shoulders and my chest walked in before I did. Listen, it made such a difference for me. It changed the way that I showed up. And because it changed the way that I showed up, it changed how I interacted with my friends and with my teachers. My aunt, without me asking, made an impact in my life and I would dare say shifted the trajectory of how I interacted with people. Yeah. Millie Dollar says the year you bust. Yeah, exactly. There's another store, a gentleman, Othniel is in the chat. Othniel, you know this gentleman, guy by the name of Jerome Spears. I was in the chapel. I was playing for a choir. I was in the chapel, bottom of Preston Hall, Steve. And I was packing up my keyboard and musical equipment. Saw this gentleman standing at the back, just standing there looking at me. It was just me, and he's standing there looking. And he came up And I don't have a lot of time, so I won't share all of the nuances of the story. But he was standing there. As I was packing up my keyboard, he came up and he said, "Hey, I've seen you playing for these different groups, but there's something about you that tells me that you should be out in front of the keyboard and not behind it." In the moment, I said, "Yeah, right." But that conversation played in my head for months. And it ended up with me deciding that I was going to start and lead several groups. For those of you that have never know all of the stuff about me, yeah, I've gone through this journey of starting musical groups and writing music and playing music and producing and recording music. Yes, at one point I considered myself a musician. Right? But the expansion of my story happened because of a man who didn't know me a great deal, who hadn't grown up with me, who knew me just a few months, or maybe more than that, maybe about a year-ish, and was courageous enough to come to me to say something that he saw. Yeah. Your life happens because of the sometimes unexpected influence of others. Your life changes because of the sometimes unexpected influence of others. But here's the thing. What about the influence you can choose? Jim Rohn has this statement. Jim Rohn has this statement that says, "You are the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time with." You're the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. And I want you to think about everything that you do, your habits, your beliefs, your standards, and even your vocabulary are shifted by the associations that you have. I want you to think about that there's certain terms, right? You know who people are by some of the things that they say. If you hear somebody talking about an MVP, I have to develop my MVP, not sports. Minimum viable product. You know that they're in the tech or startup space, right? And they're hanging around people. If you start hearing people talking about B2B, B2C, D2C, accelerator, angels, and Series A's, you know that they are in the tech startup space, right? Their language conforms to, or their language is affected by the space that they're in, right? By their associations. When I get to a space where I want to exercise more, where I want to increase my exercise accountability or stick-to-itiveness, I do exercise challenges. Because listen, willpower is overrated and I stink at being willful. Right? There's some people that are able to get up and go to their basement or get up and go to the gym every morning without fail and be like, yes, I'm going to exercise. And they do that. My wife is phenomenal at getting up and saying, listen, I'm going to go to the treadmill. That's not me. That is challenging for me. And so I do exercise, but when I want a bump, when I want to lock in, when I want to cut, when I want to change my body a bit, if I look in the mirror and I see a little bit of an extra curve in my shirt, right? I decide that I'm going to do an exercise challenge, and I do that with accountability, and I do that with other people. I see you, Raylene. Thank you. Yes, my aunt. Oh, she did the same for you. I love it. Thank you, Steve. Thank you, David. Right. So when I want to exercise, I change my associations. If you want to grow spiritually, you change your associations. I think about my kids, and we have some conversations with our kids regularly about code switching. One of the terms or one of the phrases that I share sometimes, I say one note can never produce a chord. Here's what that means. If you are one note with your relationships, then it shows up when you're in spaces where you need to adjust your language. Right? If you're one note with your relationships, if all of your friends have the same interests, if all of your friends are in the same financial space, if all of your friends have the same similar goals, if all of your friends like the same things, if all of your friends talk about the same things, or if the ones that you hang out with the most do the same things, talk about the same things, show up, then how you show up, especially in spaces that are unfamiliar, you're not able to contribute as well to those spaces because your friendships have been one note. So we share with our kids, how can you create spaces or how can you create friendships or associations that challenge you, push you, introduce new perspectives to you? Here's the thing, your circle isn't just company, it's construction. Who is around you builds you. Who you listen to becomes who you lean into. Your life is shaped by thousands of interactions. Some of them accidental, some of them intentional. Here's the thing I love about that, though. You can be intentional and you can write the environment that you want. You can take the pen and write your own story. You see, intentional relationships create intentional results. Right? And I want to say to you, I want to say to me, I want to say to my kids, I want to say to anybody that's listening, K. Bryson Watkins, Othniel, Tamika S. Graham, C. Marie B., Ray Standard. I want to say to everybody here, choose your influences the way you would choose an investment advisor because they shape your mindset portfolio. Be as intentional with your influences as you would with somebody who's handling your money, because they shape your mindset portfolio. As we do every week, we walk through 3 action steps. So here's action step number 1 that we've got for you. Number 1, I want you to take a moment to audit your top 5. As I mentioned, Jim Rohn says you are the average of the 5 people closest to you. I want you to audit your top 5. Write down who you spend the most time with, and here's where it's going to get challenging for some people. You're thinking about the people that you hang out with in person. I want you to think about online as well as offline. Right? There are people that you may be in chats with. There are people that you may be in forums with. There are people that you may be in Facebook or other groups with, or circle or school groups with. Are they pushing you forward or pulling you down? Audit your top 5. Are they pushing you forward or pulling you down? Now, here's the hard part for some people. Oh my gosh, Robert, I hang out with people and a lot of times they are complainers. A lot of times they are whiners. A lot of times they're gossipers. But the thing is, they're my family. What do I do? What do I do with them? Well, here's the deal. I've shared with my family, at some point, I have to decide who are my 3-hour friends and who are my 3-minute friends. And even if they're family, there's sometimes when you're at a family reunion, family event, etc., you've got to decide who are your 3-minute and who are your 3-hour relationships. Who will you spend time growing with? Who will you spend time intentionally having conversation with? Who will you spend time debating and arguing and philosophizing and growing and breaking with? Or who are you going to spend time just saying, hey, I'm so glad you're here. I'm glad you're healthy. I'm glad you're alive. And then you go to the hors d'oeuvre table. Right? So Audit your top 5. Then, second thing, upgrade your circle. Ooh, and when I say upgrade your circle, I don't necessarily mean toss people out like trash. Although, the truth is that maybe what needs to happen in some cases. There are people, and you got to think enough of yourself to do this, right? There are sometimes people in your space who treat you like trash. It's clear that they're not being thoughtful of you in how they respond or how they show up in your space. And so you don't owe those people. You don't really owe them anything. Right? So you've got to figure out how to upgrade or be intentional about upgrading your circle. So here's what I want you to do. Find one person that you admire, online, in person, a person that you do not connect with regularly or do not know. I want you to find one person that you admire and reach out. I want you to start a new intentional relationship. Yeah, that's the challenge. Upgrade your circle. Start a new intentional relationship. Third thing, third element, third idea. Number 3, be the influence. Be the influence. Upgrade yourself so you can be the upgrade for others. Upgrade yourself so you can be the upgrade for others. Grow yourself. Get coaching. Read. Attend a church service. Attend a Bible lesson. Attend some space where you can grow so that you can then be the upgrade for others. Okay? And as you are growing yourself, Millie Dollar says, we don't like new people. Come on, get some new people in your space. All right? As you are growing yourself, I want to challenge you then to choose one person that you can uplift this week. Choose one person that you can uplift this week. Send a text, send a message, send a voice note. Choose one person that you can uplift this week. Don't just be shaped. Decide that you're going to shape others. Hey, y'all, listen. Don't just be a passive product of your environment. I want to challenge you to curate your circle and shape your story. I want to challenge you to curate your circle and shape your story. Before we launch into a powerful Monday, listen, I want to share a few items with you. Number 1, I'm doing this series this week called From the Inbox, where I'll be answering questions from my mailing list and my internet peoples. Right, 7 p.m. today. Be on the lookout for that from the inbox. Second, I want to invite you to the Amplify Your Voice with Video 3-day challenge. Go to amplifyvoiceandvideo.com to get signed up. Amplifyvoiceandvideo.com. Get signed up. And then lastly, hey, y'all, I want you to join me right after this for the Monday, the MINDSHiFT Monday Level Up. We're hopping into a Zoom room, myself, other business owners, other leaders, other people who are ready to make change, make a difference in their world. You can head over to mindshiftmonday.com/Zoom to join me right now as soon as we hit end on this. All right. So there are probably people in the waiting room already. So get on over right now to continue the conversation to mindshiftmonday.com/Zoom. Come on, y'all. I want to see a bunch of you in here hanging out and getting even better. Right? Okay, so here's the deal, my friends. Life doesn't happen on your own. Tim Ferriss in the book Tribe of Mentors says, self-sufficiency is another word for poverty. Yeah, doing it on your own is another word for poverty. In other words, the more that you believe that you can make it by yourself, the poorer that you are. In other words, the more intentional you are about curating your relationships and widening your circle, the richer you are. It's true what they say, my friends. Your network is your net worth. Ask yourself, how can you turn your day from a reaction into a creation? What's important to you? What's your passion? What's your plan? If you want to know when we're going live, text live to 240-557-8679. And hey, do not forget to share the show. Join me next Monday for the next MINDSHiFT Monday. Until we meet again, my friends, choose your circle, choose your friendships, choose your influence. I messed that up because I'm trying to get my music. Until next time, let me start it again. Until next time, my friends, choose your circle, protect your energy, and be the influence you need. Or as I always say, change your thoughts, change your world, change your story. All right, y'all. Dallas Home Collection, good to see you. Othniel, yes, I'm glad that you tuned in as well, my friend. So glad that you're here. Marv Ricky, so good to see you this morning. K. Bryson Watkins, so glad that you're here. Dr. Lorenda Jones, C. Marie B. Milton Dodd, so glad that y'all made it this morning. I'm jumping over to the MINDSHiFT Monday Zoom room right now. Y'all come on in and join me. See you then. See you shortly. Let's go. We're going right now. Peace.